Hello, my loves, and welcome back to Soul Light Reflections. Today, I'm feeling really called to talk to you about something that feels very collectively present right now. I have been talking to so many people that have been expressing frustration with how the end of the year has been going. And I think that it seems like for a lot of us, most of the year was pretty good. We've been able to do a lot, pick up a lot of pieces, pick up a lot of passions, have a lot of new experiences. And for whatever reason, right now, it feels like there is collapse happening. So if you've been feeling heavier lately, if you've been more emotional, if you've been more tired, like things in your life or inside of you or are quietly or maybe even loudly falling apart, you are not alone. And more importantly, there's nothing wrong with you. It's not something that you are doing wrong. There is a lot that is collapsing right now, and it is happening with purpose. And I'm not saying that to be dramatic or scary or fear-mongering in any way. I say it because it is the truth. And I'm saying it in a very grounded and honest way because we need to know, like, what do we do with this energy? Like, it is a lot happening all at once and we just want to But what we actually need to do is sink into our experience, sink into our trust in the universe, and take a step back and kind of zoom out to recognize that this all actually makes a lot of sense. Because we are closing out the year of 2025. Now, in numerology, this is a 9-year. What that means is you add 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 5, that equals 9. And 9 years are all about completion, endings, release, letting go of identities, of relationships, of patterns, and of timelines that have run their course. They're done. And so this is kind of like the grand finale of the 9-year. So I almost think of it like when you're watching a fireworks show and everything is going off during the grand finale and it's just like a little bit overwhelming but also beautiful at the same time. That's kind of what it feels like right now, although it might not quite feel so beautiful. Recognizing again when you zoom out that it really is beautiful the way that these things happen. And again, recognizing that you are not alone in this. Many people are going through these feelings and experiences. And on top of that, 2025 is also the year of the snake. Now, snakes don't evolve gently, right? They shed, they outgrow their skins. It is not pretty. Those skins once protected them, and then at a certain point, they outgrow them. And so then it starts to restrict them, and so they shed them, right? So if things are feeling really tight, really uncomfortable, or they're peeling away, whether or not you feel ready for it, ready is actually a lie. We are never fully going to be ready for anything, but recognize that that is not random. That is the energy of the 2025 year, the 9-year, the year of the snake, doing exactly what it is here to do. This time of year, as we get closer to the holidays, naturally brings things to the surface. And right now, this is going to feel amplified, not just to yourself, but collectively and globally. And I know that all of us are feeling this. And it can be really unsettling, really disorienting, scary. But we have to come back to the fact that it is also so purposeful. It is intentional. It is designed divinely. Anytime that I'm feeling like that adversity in life and I'm just like really frustrated or don't really know why things are going the way they are, I always come back to this image of a current in a river. And Abraham Hicks talks about this a lot in the transmissions that Esther Hicks has. And the idea is when we feel things crumbling, our instinct is to fight it, right? We try to swim upstream back to where we came from. We try to control it. We try to grip even harder. We try to force stability where stability is no longer. Like it's dissolved. It's not there anymore. When we're swimming upstream, it is exhausting and eventually it's gonna take you down anyway. You're not going to be able to completely fight that current and actually make it out alive. So what we need to do is surrender and go downstream and eventually find somewhere that we can grab onto and stay for a while. And surrendering does not mean giving up. I feel like there is this very common misconception about that. It does not mean that you are giving up. It doesn't mean that you've done something wrong. It means recognizing that sometimes the current is stronger And it's our job to choose to move with it instead of against it, because otherwise we're just going to exhaust ourselves and we're going to be worse off. So right now, the invitation in this collective journey is to simply flow. Even when it's uncomfortable, actually, especially when it's uncomfortable, is when it's more important to take a step back and to just let the flow happen. As we come to the end of this year very quickly, there's also this collective story that we've been told that like somehow January 1st is this like magical reset button. Like the clock strikes midnight and all of a sudden everything is like lighter and clearer and easier and we're healthier and happier, right? And yes, I do actually think that the new year will collectively feel a lot lighter, but it's important to remember that not everything will instantly get better. It is automatically lighter because we've shed that skin, right? We are working on shedding the skin now. There is going to be a new cycle that's going to start, but the thing is that it's not necessarily going to automatically begin with like the clarity, the momentum, the joy that we are looking for. It's probably just going to begin with having more space, right? The shedding has happened. We're in the process of growing our new skin. It's going to take a little bit of time to adjust. We need to work on integration. We need to work on letting the body and the nervous system recover from what we went through at the end of this year. We need to grieve the things that have happened, the version of ourselves that we were in the previous year, before we can let those new things happen. Quick interruption to this episode just to tell you about the functional mushroom electrolyte brand that my husband and I have. It's called Lucid Hydration. It is an all-natural electrolyte beverage that harnesses the power of plants like ashwagandha, rhodiola rosea, and 6 organic functional mushrooms, as well as essential vitamins and minerals that are really good for your brain and body. No fillers, no artificial ingredients, no caffeine, no sugar, no BS in there. If you want to try it out and support our brand, go to www.lucidhydration.com and use code Rachel for a nice little discount. Next thing I wanted to remind you about is that I host these amazing embodiment retreats called Awaken Within. I have a few coming up, so go to my website, playfulembodiment.com, and you can see all of the newest ones that are upcoming and get on the wait list for future ones. So 2026 is a 1 year in numerology. So again, you add 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 6, that equals 10. You add 1 plus 0, that is 1. And that is all about the start of a brand new cycle. 1, right? First number. New identities, new directions. Think of it as like we're planting new seeds, right? But it takes a little bit of time for those seeds to bloom. So I want you to remember that January 1st is not necessarily a magic wand. It's walking through a new door, but then we still have to explore the new home that we're in. We have to get a lay for the land. We have to feel it out. We have to decorate, right? It's not just automatically going to feel like home. It's not just automatically going to feel great. Recognizing that there's going to be a little bit of a recovery period and new growth will happen, but it may take weeks. It may take months. I think that so many of us really need to hear this message. If January comes and you are not feeling instantly inspired, if you're not feeling that clarity right away, if you don't really feel ready to build or like create or move forward, you're not doing anything wrong. Don't let all of these influencers and practitioners and people try to tell you like new year, new you, like you should be feeling good. You should be committing to this and that. It's still winter. Newsflash. It is still winter, at least on the Northern Hemisphere. And we are not supposed to be in a season of go, 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 do all the things, be super productive. Literally on a nature, like biological level, that is not what we're supposed to be doing. Winter is not for blooming. Winter is for resting, for recalibration, for, again, letting that dust kind of settle from the end of a 9 year and allowing your body and your soul and your mind to catch up and kind of get on the same page of all of the events that have occurred, all of the things that have happened in our lives. New growth is never going to come in immediately after collapse. It's just not the way it works. There's always going to be like a pause, a stillness, a planning, a regrouping. And that pause is so sacred and vital. A kind of more bleak example that, I don't know, came to my mind is like when a town crumbles from something like an earthquake or a natural disaster, the town doesn't just spring back up overnight. It takes time. And eventually, yes, the town could be even stronger and more beautiful than before, but it's going to take time to plan that out and to come together as a community to do so. And so I think of that as the same way as your mind, body, and soul catching up and getting to the right alignment to be able to move forward eventually in the year. Another thing that's really beautiful about 2026 is that it's the year of the horse. So horse energy is all about freedom and movement and forward momentum and embodiment and expansion. Another thing about horses that I think is really inspirational is that they are bold. They are willing to take leaps and gallops and steps once they trust their footing, but they have to have a strong foundation first. And so what we are doing in the beginning of this 1 year of this year of the fire horse is to really build a strong foundation, and then we can start to build up from there. And then once we trust our footing, we take those leaps, we take those gallops. All of that to say, if the beginning of 2026 feels a little bit slower than you anticipated or expected, just trust that it's like slowly, positively conditioning you. It's not causing any delays. Things will divinely happen in the right timing. So right now, the most loving thing that you can do is to stop rushing yourself through transition. Let the rest of this year crumble if it needs to. Let the skin shed, let the chapters close. Try not to feel like you immediately need to replace things or patch up the holes, because it might make it worse. Just trust that anything that is falling away, anything that is crumbling is simply creating space, and you might not be able to see it yet. And you know what? Maybe all you can do is float for a while. Maybe you're not even able to like turn around and swim downstream. Maybe all you do is float there for a while. And you know what? If you're floating on that stream, you're still moving. I want to leave you with a little question, which is, where in your life are you still swimming upstream? And where might I be able to turn around and let that current carry me instead? Where might I be able to float for a little bit downstream and then maybe eventually start actually swimming downstream? Remember that you don't need to force the next chapter. You don't need to rush the beginning when the new year comes. You're not behind. We're like in that in-between place. And that's actually a really, really powerful place to be. I hope that this episode gave you a little bit of peace and calm to your system when you might be dealing with a lot crumbling right now. I know that I am. That's why I recorded this episode, because it is not just you and other people that I've talked to that are feeling this. I am majorly feeling this right now. And all we can do is trust, because that is the thing that is going to get us through. That is the thing that we can hold on to. I firmly believe that even in the absolute worst case scenario that we could imagine when that happens, which if you really think about it, does not happen often at all when the actual worst case scenario happens. But even in those scenarios, I firmly believe that things are completely working out in our favor, because every single thing that occurs in this human experience somehow directly affects another part of this human experience. And so I firmly believe when something quote unquote bad happens in my experience, that for whatever reason, that stopped some other worse thing from happening. And I might not ever know what that is, and that's okay. And then another teeny tiny little tidbit that's coming to me right now that I need to share with you is what Max and I have been doing for the last couple of years. When things feel like they're crumbling and when things are going wrong, we celebrate. We literally celebrate. We go get a bottle of wine. Well, not right now because I'm pregnant, but maybe we get a pizza that night. Maybe we go have a picnic. We find some way to celebrate. And I highly encourage that, because it starts shifting your mind to remember that everything is always working out for me. And you start reconditioning your mind to be excited when something goes wrong, because you know that something even better is coming and you get to celebrate. I am hoping to get one more episode out before the new year, because I am back on my weekly game of this podcast and I am really, really trying my best to stick to it. I would love a little extra motivation and insight as to what you would like to hear. So please reach out to me if you are still listening to this podcast. Please reach out to me if you have specific topics that you would love covered. Any guests that you would like to see on here, because the only time I've ever had guests on this podcast was the episode that I released right before this, and my husband. So I do have people reaching out to me all the time, but I always like to make sure that they are super aligned. And I haven't quite felt that of anyone specific yet. So again, would love some insight, would love some feedback, would love some encouragement to keep this going. But I will hopefully talk to you one more time before the new year of 2026. And if not, keep shining, keep aligning, and I'll talk to you soon.